Welcome to Saturday Morning Talk Show, Spilling the Tea to Juliet G. It's every Saturday from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. GMT time.
My piano is a big vibe, but the girls them know. Steadily, heavily, I'm a piano is a big vibe, but the girls them know. Steadily, coming, they shout hallelujah. Every day like a new year. Overseas they want chop me like suya. I know big dog for this do ya. Tired so greasy, he dey dance like Chris Breezy, easy. I'm on my wrist, they cold, they freeze you. Them know they call me Mr. Money for no reason. I see they go, I'm a piano. We go show, we go let them know. Now we dey run the town and any show. We got than any woes, we got than any foe. Bad man flows, put them on their toes. On the low, they got them know. My bed short, South Jamo, Colorado. Pass me the fatty piano is a big vibe, but the girls them know. Steadily, heavily, I'm a piano is a big vibe, but the girls them know. Steadily, heavily,
yeah, what you call? Okonigino, bad bitches want to wale sherry one. Turn me up, yeah carry on. Shake your caravan for the Don Corleone. What the fuck, get it on the floor. I can never fall, I beat to 44. I'm trading all of my soul now for my peace. I'm glad I made it, had a very ugly beast. From the ground up, niggas stand up, see the fandom, no need to random. But wait and shine down, and then they never done. I'm telling y'all, better get the memorandum. One thing I know, I'm a piano, all of my piano. No, Messi I know, Italiano, Luciano, killing bitches all I know.
Piano is a big vibe, but the girls them know. Steadily, heavily, I'm a piano is a big vibe, but the girls them know.
Everybody, you know what time it is. The sun is shining and Juliet is up. Yes, I have an action-packed show for you this morning. Yeah. So some of you might be still in your PJs or even your 90s, but that's okay because you only need to lend me your ears. So, if you've opened your eyes, you are blessed. You are on the wake-up list. Yes, you're on that wake-up list. Well, it's another Super Saturday weekend, so let's start the right way. Also, I'd like to wish Chantel Bailey a very happy birthday. Happy birthday, Shan, and to anyone else that's celebrating their birthday today, many happy returns. And guess what, people? Today is the last day of the Virgo season. Oh, I hear some of you say, no. And guess what? It's the first day of autumn. So we are officially in autumn. This morning, I will be in conversation with Yolanda Lear, and we are going to be talking about. In fact, Yolanda is just going to be popping in. So I'm talking about the things that she forgot to mention. So for those of you that are tuning in for the very first time, welcome and thank you for making it Supreme FM. 20 years of broadcasting, reaching the community and the World Wide Web. No matter what part of the world you are tuning in from, north, south, east or west, you know what? Home is best. So they say. So it's your host Juliet G, where I converse with real people and get them to spill that tea. And that's a T with a double E, and talk their truth. Now before I proceed any further, I'd also like to thank Yolanda, who I'm going to be bringing on very shortly. She'll be popping back because she has a few things to say that she forgot to mention. So stay tuned. Now, if you missed last week's show, guess what? Juliet was hard at it last night. Hard at it. Uploaded on YouTube. Tell you it was not easy. And when I got tired, well, tell a lie, when I couldn't upload anymore, I had to give up. And do you know what time I was up till? 2 a.m. this morning. And I had to get up at 5. Well, anyway, that's another story. So please don't be mean. Leave a positive comment, like, and hit that subscribe button so you get notified when I update more shows. So today is week 38 of the Coinage Crew savings plan. There are 4 ways to save. You can save forwards. This week you're putting away £38. And we have a saving of £741 so far. Or you can save backwards and you're putting away £15, making a total of £1,273 in your kitty. Or if you're saving monthly, you could put away £114.83 for the month of September, making a grand total so far in your little kitty £1,033.51. Or you can save £26.50 every week, and so far you would have saved £1,006.50. However you decide to save, you know what? The end result is still going to be the same. So by the 30th of December, guess what? You'll have £1,378, or maybe even more. It depends on if you put more. Now, the Young People's Monthly Challenge will be coming to an end next month, so it's not too late to apply. So if you know of any young people, primary or secondary school, and that would like to win a £15 gift voucher, the closing date for this month is today, but next month obviously is next month. Then you can be put in for the winner's prize draw, and in December, where you can win £50 gift voucher, a certificate and a trophy, which will be sponsored by Martin Winter of James Shoe Care in Barkingside. Plus, he will engrave your name on it, which you can display pride and joy on your parents' mantelpiece. I was going to say your own mantelpiece, but you don't own a house. All that said, all you have to do is write a story or a poem about anything of your choice and voice note it to email address stt2jg@gmail.com, or you can text it to 07958 674095. Quoting Young People's Challenge, please note the voice note mustn't be longer than 3 minutes long. So on the 23rd of December, all the monthly winners will go head to head, and you will decide, you the listeners will decide who will be your winner for 2023. And on that note, people, I'm going to bring on my big sister Son, who's going to lead us in prayer. And Lord knows I need it today. All the things that could go wrong, I'm not even putting it out there. All I can say is I need a prayer. I need some help, people. I need some help.
Dear Lord God, Heavenly Father, thank you again for bringing us together today to listen to another edition of Spilling the Tea to Juliet G. And as we listen to her guest, a special guest, a guest that's been on many times, I say amen. I say amen for her. I say amen for Juliet G. I say amen for all the behind the scenes work. I say amen for all the new initiatives to speak to somebody about health and the stay and play, the Coinage Crew and everything. So, dear Lord, let's say a prayer that we all know, a prayer that lifts us all up. Let's say it together. And at the end, let's all say together, Amen. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, and deliver us from all evil. For yours is the kingdom, now and forever. Amen. Dear Lord God, thank you for being with us. I thank you for all the behind the scenes work. And I thank you for every listener that listens in. And let it be that today, as Juliet G continues to share her experience with her guests, and her guests continues to share her experience with us, watch over them, be with them, and continue to guide them. In Jesus' name I say this short prayer today. Amen.
Wake up, everybody, no more sleeping in bed. No more backward thinking, time for thinking ahead. The world has changed so very much from what it used to be. There's so much hatred, war and poverty. Wake up all the teachers, time to teach a new way. Maybe then they'll listen to what you have to say. They're the ones who's coming up, and the world is in their hands. When you teach the children, teach them the very best you can. The world won't get no better if we just let it be. Na 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 na. The world won't get no better. We gotta change it now, just you and me. Wake up all the doctors, make the old people well. They're the ones who suffer and who catch all the hair. But they don't have so very long before their judgment day. So won't you make them happy before they pass away? Wake up all the builders, time to build a new land. I know we could do it if we all lend a hand. The only thing we have to do is put it in our minds. Surely things will work out, they do it every time. The world won't get no better if we just let it be. Na, 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 na. The world won't get no better. We gotta change it now, just you and me. Yeah. Change it, yeah, change it, yeah, just you and me. Change it, yeah, change it. Can't do it alone, can't do it alone. Need some help, y'all, y'all. Can't do it alone, can't do it alone. Yeah, yeah. Wake up, everybody.
Welcome back to Spilling That T to Juliet G on supremefmlive.ning.com. Without further ado, I'm going to bring on Yolanda Lear. Good morning, Yolanda. How are you?
Morning, I'm well, thank you. Yourself?
I'm okay now. I'm okay now. I tell you, what a challenge, but every challenge brings a lesson.
That's true. Very true.
So I'm trying not to see things on a negative. I'm staying positive, you know, but sometimes it's not always easy when things are thrown in your direction.
That's true.
You know, but anyway, Yolanda, you came back, and the reason why I brought you back, as last week you failed to mention that the events and things that you are doing in the community for the young people. So Yolanda, take it away. You have an upcoming event on Thursday, the 23rd of October. So exactly a month today. So tell us about it.
So basically, it's the 26th of October. The 23rd is Monday. But this event is called Lifting Up Royalty, and it's a follow-on event from an event that I put on last year, a Black History Month event, an event to celebrate us as a people, to acknowledge some of the amazing works that individuals within our communities are doing. As I mentioned, last year was the first time I put it on. Last year we celebrated local community leaders from Hackney, and this year I would like to celebrate parents and carers. Doesn't have to be from Hackney, but parents and carers from the African and Caribbean diaspora. And yeah, just let them know that, you know, we see, we know the hard work that you go through, etc. And it's nomination, so how I'm doing it is people have to nominate someone and like either write up or do a video that can be shown on the day of why they want to celebrate that individual. And yeah, just a day of love, bringing people together. So also on this day I'm gonna have my cousin do a free photo shoot. So each families that come along, they get the opportunity to have a professional photo shoot done, and they get free photos for free. And yeah, just other little activities on the day. So like I might do karaoke, I might do a sip and paint again, play a few other like music games, dominoes, you know, things that we do as a people, and just bring us together. And I will also be doing, on the day I would also have black owned stalls. So local businesses who have a service or products that they would like to sell and get a bit more exposure about. It's an opportunity on the day to showcase what they sell, their services, and broaden their horizons when it comes to exposure of their business. And I would also be doing raffle ticket on the day, so I'm doing a call out, and if anyone who is listening, if this is relevant to you as well, please do get in touch. So basically on the day I want to do a raffle ticket where the prizes are things like a free meal for a family, a free body massage or facial. So I've got a few of those lined up already. But again, if anyone wants to put forward their services and either free or discounted services that you can offer as like a donation towards the raffle. So that's if you're a hairdresser and you want to give someone a free or discounted appointment to get their hair looking nice and crisp. If you're a barber, we're calling out for barbers as well to be able to give young people under the age of 18 a free haircut. As I said, a free meal as well. I think that one is probably a huge one given the climates that we're in at the moment. to be able to support a family with, obviously, without having to worry about food for a day. And yeah, just things along those lines. Like if you have natural hair products or skin products and you want to get a bit more exposure but also give a free product to somebody, please do get in contact with myself. Best way I would say to get in contact with me is either email myself, so that's info@theundefeatedmind.co.uk, or you can find me on Instagram, which is _undefeatedmind. And yeah, I've got 20 nominations at the moment left for the big award ceremony on the day. But yeah, if anyone wants to give in terms of, as I said, donations towards raffles, if you've got something that you would like to give as a gift towards the 25 in total nominations, parents and carers that will be celebrated on the day, also do get in contact with me. If you just want to help support in terms of donating so that we can put on the event and make sure that the event is special, again, please do get in contact with myself as well. And yeah, that's the main things for that day.
Just remind the listeners what time the event starts and where the event will be held.
So it will start from 2 to 7 p.m. and the venue that we've got currently is in Pembury, so East London. It's in Pembury Community Centre. That's Hackney Sides, for anyone that is listening and wondering where that is. Hackney Sides, Pembury Community Centre, and yeah, it's from 2 to 7 p.m.
And how can people get tickets if they want to attend?
So I'm going to set up, I haven't done it yet, but I'm going to set up Eventbrite. So once I do set up that, if I can pass it on to yourself to share out.
Absolutely.
But yeah, like if you're interested from now and you would like to put a reservation in for your space, and obviously I haven't got the Eventbrite set up just yet, just get in contact with myself and I'll obviously write down your names as like an early guest list and keep a note on that.
And I just want to stress to people, Yolanda is doing this all by herself. So if anybody out there is able to support, to help in any shape or form, please contact Yolanda. And if anybody would like to contribute to the kitty or pay forward to help others that are less fortunate, please DM Yolanda or DM myself, and I will make sure that Yolanda gets in touch. Also, you run a football session on Saturdays for young people. Can you tell the listeners what sort of help you require, as it is only you and the number of young people that are coming is increasing, so you don't want to get to that point where you're turning young people away. So you know, tell the listeners what it is that you require and what you do on a Saturday.
So to give a little background, about maybe 6 weeks ago now, I put on a football family fun day during the summer holidays in my local park, where we did football competitions. We had rounders, all other sports for other people to get involved in as well, and just all round activities for families to just come and kind of chill and hold a vibe. Off the back of that, a lot of the young people that got involved were asking me if I'm going to be here again, if I'm going to do it consistently. So I made a decision on that day to say I'll be here every Saturday, and I've got all the equipment in my house in terms of bowls and training equipment. So I was like, if I've got it, why not provide that opportunity for young people? So the following Saturday I went down, set up, just setting up pitches for them to play matches. And I was shocked at how much young people we had. We had about 25 young people on the day, and as you said, it is increasing almost every Saturday now. So since then I've been going every Saturday from 2 p.m. and because it was summer holidays, I'll be there from 2 to about 7 p.m. Obviously now people are going back to school, it's getting darker earlier. The times will slightly change, but as mentioned, it's literally just myself. So we have young people from the age of 7 all the way up to 16, and currently I'm having to make all of them play against each other on the same pitch because it's just myself. I don't really have the support to set up another pitch for the younger age group, so they're not clashing too much with the older lots. And then also I've got to referee the game and keep an eye on that, and obviously monitor, make sure no one's misbehaving, all of those things. So again, if anyone can or is local, is up for supporting, is interested in football, is interested in supporting and mentoring young people, because a lot of the young people that come along, I've noticed like they're from a lot of misfortunate backgrounds, and I don't want to obviously talk too much about their struggles, but we've had young people come with literally holes in both of their shoes. You can see that, in terms of things that they're wearing, they don't have a lot, but their dedication to come every week is there, and it's literally just because they're having fun, and that's literally their statements. Like, they come because they're having fun. So yeah, things like that. I mean, also if people want to support but can't come down on the day to actually help out, I do things like I'll buy them footballs as like a prize and run little competitions, and these young people are so grateful for the opportunity just to win a football. Or one of my friends who has a clothing line, he donated some of his hats from his clothing line to give to young people. So even things like that, if people are interested in supporting, buying footballs or things along those lines, or donating towards getting them drinks and food on the day, because right now all of this is coming out of my own pocket. I'm not rich, but it's a blessing for me to see other people blessed by what I'm doing, so I'll continue to do it regardless. But yeah, any support, any help, any of that is appreciated. But yeah, like I said, I'll continue to keep doing it because I see how much of a positive impact it is having on the young people.
Thank you so much, Yolanda. They say it takes a village, so let's help where we can and support our village. Thank you so much. And if there's anything else you need, just ask and I'll see what I can do. Okay?
Thank you.
So what are you up to after?
So I've actually got another event, which is an account event. It's basically showing the creative side of activism and how we can use our voices and our skills and talents in other ways, and not just the academic and research and protesting side of things. So yeah, we're just putting on an event locally. Again, if you're local in Hackney, it's in Pembury Community Centre from 11 to 5. Come down. We'll be doing like cases of know your rights training, sip and paint, giving people an opportunity to use painting as a way to express how they feel in relation to police injustice and just overall oppression, I guess you can say. So yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing after this. I'm going to go and get a little bit of rest because I've had about 2 hours sleep.
Okay. Well, you take care and have a good weekend, and I will be in touch, yeah?
Thank you, and same to you.
Yeah, you take care.
Take care. Bye.
That, ladies and gentlemen, was Yolanda Lear. And if anybody would like to help and support her cause, please contact her or contact myself, and I will pass on the information. And on that note, I am going to get my guest, Maxine Edgar. Just bear with. Welcome back to Spilling That Tea to Juliet G on supremefmlive.ning.com. Without further ado, I'm going to bring on Maxine Edgar, funeral director of Bronze Ash Funerals. If you've got any questions you would like to ask Maxine, just text it to 07958 674099. That's 07958 674099. Morning, Maxine.
Morning, Juliet. You know, I haven't moved since I was last on here. I thought, you know what, let me just stay right here. I'm sure Supreme are going to call me again in a minute to go on the radio. So I thought, let me just stay overnight.
Listen, you know what? It feels like you've been here every week.
I'm telling you.
You'll be fixtures and fittings soon.
You know, and the thing about it is, when we put down the phone and when we finish, people text me, inbox me, DM me, and I'm thinking, we're all death talked out. These people are going to get fed up with it. But I think different people, different audiences, people talk to one another, and it's easier to ask these questions from the background than face to face, because we do not like to talk about death. It's very simple.
I know. I don't know what it is. I really don't. You know, no. I've had a number of people message me wanting to know a bit more about the funeral process. And
yes.
As you are an expert in your trade, who better person to talk to but you, Maxine?
Yeah, I know. I know.
So, I mean, put it this way: if you're not able to do, you will be able to direct, and that's what I like. That's what I like.
Yeah. There's always somebody who knows. There's always some direction. But, you know, Supreme, as I say every week, it's not about me. It's not about you. It's about the community and what we can
100%.
do. So we can't. You know?
Mm-hmm.
So it's all good.
So first, Maxine, what happens... Yeah, this is a question from a listener. What happens when there is no will?
Okay, so when there's no will, that's something that's completely different. One of the things concerning funerals and death and wills and so forth, the wills are all about assets, stuff that you own. Other than owning a grave, you may have died and you may be a grave owner, and that is an asset. The grave is an asset, even though you lease it. When it comes to death and wills, death and
hold on, funerals. Maxine, you kind of like gone a bit. You sound like you've gone underwater now.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can.
Yes. When it comes to funerals and wills, it's a bit different. So let's just move it over to death and wills. If someone dies and they don't leave a will, then they die intestate. Yeah, it has to go to probate. Yeah. Some people don't have much. When I say don't have much, they don't have finance, they don't have assets, but they have items. So even that can go to probate. All right. If someone dies and they don't leave a will and the funeral has to be paid for, or there is a funeral, there's two things. Number one, the family will receive a death certificate when they register the death, and they can take that and the invoice to the bank. And normally, 9 times out of 10, without any hassle, the funeral director's invoice will be paid direct from the funds, if there are, or whatever there is. So the invoice may be 6,000, there may be only £2,000 in the bank account. They'll give that 2,000 directly to the funeral director. All right. You may leave a will, and this is arguable. I understand that you can assign a letter of wishes to your will. So your will are your assets, everything you own, who you want things to be distributed to, that will be executed. However, you can leave a letter of wishes, and these are my wishes. And the reason why it's a wishes is because the family do not have to execute it. Yeah, the people who are dealing with your will might not be family, it might be friends. Whoever is dealing with your funeral does not have to execute your wishes. Your letter of wishes can say, right, I want this funeral director. Well, that could be on a plan anyway, a separate plan that you've already got in place. But you can say, I want this church, I want these songs, I want A, B, C, D. Your coffin and all of that, if you're sensible enough, you'd have had a plan. So that will already be in place. That cannot be moved, and that will be with an insurance company. When you die, the insurance company will contact the funeral director and say, ABC such and such has died. They said they want you to do the funeral, first choice, and this is the coffin, and these are the cars, and this is what their plan is going to pay for. So that is settled.
Maxine?
Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you loud and clear. It's
In
just that.
terms of everything
Hold on,
else,
Maxine. We
yeah.
are actually coming up to the community break. Yeah.
My goodness.
I know. It's gone quick, isn't
This week the day. Carry on.
Welcome back to Spilling That Tea to Juliet G on supremefmlive.ning.com. I'm in conversation with Maxine Edgar, Funeral Director of Bronze Ash Funerals. Now, Maxine, before we went to break, you were telling us about when a person has no will.
Yeah. When they die intestate and everything goes to probate, which can be quite a lengthy process. So as I was saying to you beforehand, you have a plan which is completely separate, which can be executed if the family or the person arranging the funeral has access to those details. Yeah. You may have a will, but in terms of your funeral, in your will or anything that you write down as a letter of wishes, the person arranging the funeral does not have to go with that. You may write that I want a small funeral. The person who's arranging the funeral may decide, well, we want a big funeral. You may say, oh, I want to go to City of London. And the person arranging the funeral say, well, I'll take you to West Ham. Yeah, once you're dead, in terms of that kind of arrangement, that is out of your hands. And quite often that's why families have problems and arguments, because there's nothing specific written in place. And everyone wants to do their own thing.
Go ahead.
No, you continue.
I've got another question. Yeah, paying for the funeral. Who pays, especially if the person has no money?
Okay, right. So if the person dies and they have no money, all right. So there are different ways, different types of people. You may die and have absolutely nobody, and then the state is literally in charge of you. You'd get a public funeral, whereby you'd be buried in a public grave. Someone will be assigned, someone possibly from the local authority, maybe someone from the church, quite possibly even the funeral director. will be assigned to bury you. You would go into a public grave, and a public grave is, as it says it is, a public grave for people in the same situation. You are buried in this grave, and there is no headstone, although your burial is noted. There is a grave deed in the office. So if someone suddenly turned up after 20 years and said, "Oh, I'm a long lost daughter, where's my mum or dad buried?" There will be no headstone, but you could go to an office and there's a central register, yeah? So you have that. If someone is arranging a funeral for someone, and it doesn't have to be a family member, all right, the general consensus is if there is no money, the person arranging the funeral, would have to apply for funds if they're on a particular benefit. Yeah. So the person who's arranging a funeral, if they're on DWP or I think it's Universal Credit Housing Benefit, there's a criteria. It's there. You fill out an SF200 form or you phone the DWP. You must meet that criteria. And you can be employed and still meet that criteria. Many of my families, they work, not necessarily full time, but they are in working jobs. It's not about hours. They meet the criteria, they're on housing benefit, and they will get help to pay for the funeral. They will pay for a burial. Yeah, they'll look for the cheapest grave. Yeah, in terms of radius from where the person lives, the person who is applying. It is not on the person who has died, it's on the person who is applying. As we know that some boroughs like Hackney don't have a cemetery, so they would look at the radius. If you lived in Hackney, the person who's applying or taking care of the funeral, to the nearest cemetery, and they would look at the cheapest grave. Now, the cheapest grave is a public grave. They don't take that into consideration. There's also another type of grave, the woodland grave, which is a natural grave. They don't take that into consideration. But what they do take into consideration is the heritage grave, the reclaimed grave. So they will pay for the cheapest grave plus £1,000 to help with other costs, and that's it. The rest you would have to find. There are also charities that will assist you, but you must meet the criteria. Many people believe that everyone has a right to this funeral grant. They come in, they work full time, it's expensive, we can't afford it. Then I'll say, unfortunately, you do not meet the criteria. People have to come together and pay for it. Now, if you are arranging a funeral for someone and you work and you've got your own money, all right, and they have no money, you will not be entitled to benefits. If that's your situation and you're not entitled to claim any benefits, then you have to find the money. And the general consensus is, well, if you've got a bit of money, you're looking after this funeral, you don't have to have a burial costing £7,000-8,000. We suggest you take him up to the City of London, 9 o'clock in the morning, and pay £500 and get a cremation. That's the general consensus. If there's no money, a funeral, legally you have to have a funeral. The body has to be disposed of by way of burial or cremation. You can't afford a burial, however, get some people together, raise £500 and have an early morning cremation, or do a direct cremation.
A what?
A direct cremation, whereby the body's taken away from the funeral directors. There is no ceremony, but it is disposed of, and that's one of the cheapest routes, although you'd have to pay the funeral director.
And how much is that?
So that is on you. And people really need to be aware of this. If the person has no money and you've taken on the role to sort out the funeral, and you're not on any qualifying benefits, then you're going to have to find the money, and that's either by way of GoFundMe, people coming together, or the cheapest funeral that you can find, and it's as simple as that, unfortunately.
Maxine, you mentioned the direct cremation.
Yeah.
How does that work? How much is that?
Direct cremations are really the way forward. Not so much in our community because we do celebrate death, we do come together. But the way the direct cremations work is that the person dies. I'll give you an example. So I'm sat in my office, gentleman knocks on the door, comes in and says, my sister's died, she wants a cremation, but she doesn't want anyone there.
Yeah.
I therefore go to Queen's Hospital. I go and get the body. I fill out the necessary forms. Yeah. I book a date with the crematorium. I take the body to the crematorium. The cremation takes place, usually in the mornings. I go back for the ashes. If the family want the ashes, then they'll come and collect them. If they don't, then I will dispose of them accordingly. Very simple. They pay me a set fee. There's no attendance at the crematorium. There is no church. There is nothing. There is no reception. Simple as that. Right. And people do this because A, they want to save the money. B, they want to pass the money on to their loved ones. Or B, they didn't have any friends or family. Well, they just see it as a waste of money. When I'm gone, I'm gone. You just take this money and do what you want to do with it. So many people will have a direct cremation, but if there are funds, the family will spend it on a party, so they won't attend any ceremony. So the funeral is legal. You have to have a funeral.
Yeah.
The funeral's not the ceremony. The funeral's disposal of the body, a burial or a cremation. The ceremony is a choice. That is not the funeral, the party, the reception, the wake after. You understand? So you can do what you want with that. So you can, and many people do that. They have the direct crem. They don't attend any funeral, but after they'll take any monies and they'll spend it on the party.
Roughly, how much is a direct funeral? I mean, direct cremation.
Funeral, you're looking around about £1,000.
Okay.
Yeah, but at the same time, a family could decide, you know what, we can take the body up to City of London and have an early morning funeral, and that would be 9 o'clock or 9:30. And not just City of London, there are many crematoriums that do the early morning, and then they could pay a funeral director. You're still going to have to pay funeral directors' fees anyway. Yeah. So I think looking at the direct cremation, it's the cheapest option at about £1,000.
Okay, so Maxine, can you tell us about owning of graves?
Well, you don't own the grave, and this is so important that I reiterate it. You lease the grave. You are a leaseholder, just like if you live in a flat and there's an X amount of years on the lease and you're paying a mortgage, but yet you are the lessee. You understand? You don't own it. When the lease expires, it goes back to the freeholder. The same applies. Many of the graves now that we're looking at, and I use City of London because it's the biggest cemetery in London. Let's say, for argument's sake, when you buy a grave over conservation law, a brand new grave, your minimum term is 30 years. 30 years on the lease. They do not like it to go below 30 years. If you want to buy 50 years, it will increase with price. 60 years, 100 years, it will increase with price. Yeah. If your lease goes below, let's say you buy a grave for 2 people in 2000, let's around about figure 220, and someone's buried there. 3 years later, the lease is reduced to 27 years and someone else dies and you want to reopen up the grave. They'll expect you to bring that lease up to 30 years. So you'll probably pay something, I think it's like £100 and something a year per lease. Yeah? So you'll pay for the opening of the grave plus the 3 years for the lease to bring it up to 30 years. Now, let's say for argument's sake that over that period of time, the 30 years expires. They will write to you and they'll say to you, your lease is about to expire. Are you going to renew it? Chances are that you won't. Chances are that you won't renew the lease after 30 years, and then it will return to the local authority who own the cemetery, and they there have the rights to exhume or take out any remains. Yeah, and use that grave for someone else. They call that reclaimed. That is a reclaimed grave. It means it has been used before. And you'll find that that will be areas within a cemetery, not just dotted around, but entire areas. Yeah. So at the moment now, we've got a brand new area called Conservation Lawn over at the City of London. Absolutely beautiful. The new area is just a bit up higher on the hill. Really is lovely. And when we started using it at the beginning of this year, I think there were just like 4 or 5 graves there. Now you're looking at 100, and we're coming back and back and back. We're filling the area. The vast majority, I believe, of people owning graves over there are buying them at 30-year leases. 30 years from now, if that vast majority do not renew their lease, the whole area more than likely will be dug up and it will become reclaimed, and they'll be burying new people in there.
Maxine, I've got a question. If you've had a plan and you took that plan out, that grave plan out about 8 years ago, and the person is still alive, what happens?
Well, if you paid for your plan, you've paid for it.
So you, even if you, does your lease start from when you purchase, or is it start from when you die?
Right. So when you buy a grave, that's not your plan. Your plan is your plan for your funeral, i.e. your funeral directors, what you're going to do on the day, where you're going to go, your cars, your fees and that. And your grave is separate.
Yeah, but they've paid for the grave.
Sorry?
They've paid for the grave.
If you've paid for your grave 8 years ago and you've got a 30-year lease, all right, your lease would have reduced to 22 years. So let's say you died. The family would have to bring that lease up to a minimum of 30 years. And that would be like another 800 quid.
Oh, wow.
So I was speaking to a girl at the gym the other day, the trainer, and she was saying that where they are in Luton, the granddad bought 3 graves, and they're all, and she didn't know any of this. So I was trying to explain to her. I said, find out, because her mother had died, her auntie had died, her granddad and her grandmother had died. And I said, you really need to be up on this, find out, because over here, this is how the cemeteries work. And I inquired for her. I got the grave numbers and everything. And it worked out that over there in this particular cemetery in Luton, they were all 99 years, 99-year leases.
Oh, right.
So they were all right, because a lot of the deaths were in the last 10 years. And it's highly unlikely, she said, that 99 years from now, anyone's going to be going up there. And so they don't have to renew leases. So you have to look at the age. Look at your age when you take out your plan, and the chances are people are living longer. So if you're clever enough and sensible enough to buy a grave now, there's pros and cons, and you're in your 30s, I would suggest don't buy a 50-year lease, a 30-year lease. Go a bit higher.
What about is it East London, the one in Plaistow? How long is the lease there?
The same. It's the same. You can get leases for 30 years, probably even more over there. I think City of London give people choice because they cover the whole of London. But in East London, I think you can get 30, 50, 70. It's entirely up to you. However, what we have to understand is if you're paying for, I should have got these prices beforehand. If you're a 30-year lease over Conservation Lawn over at City of London, you're looking around about 5580, something like that. If you're going to go further to another 50 years, then you've got to add on like a further £100 per year, and the price does increase. So it goes up in price. Yeah, but it's a safety. It's a safety net for you. But they, the lease doesn't suddenly expire and they say, right, we're going to take your grandma out and, crush her bones and put someone else in. They will give you plenty of time. Notice, yeah? And you have to be on it as well. Have your folder, have your information, have an awareness, get organised.
Yeah. What about the reopening of graves?
Okay, well, that's what they do over at the Heritage. A lot of people say to me, oh, we don't want to go down there. No. We don't want to go down there where someone's been before. But, I say to them, they're actually quite nice areas, and it's good to go and have a look. And the reopening of a grave, you're none the wiser. Obviously, in comparison, you'll see that there are older graves in that particular area. There's still a few. Whereas when you go to an area that's virgin soil and it's all new, you can see it's much nicer. It's much fresher. But the process is exactly the same. There is no evidence of anything there if the grave has been used before. If it's been used before for your own family, you may have. I buried my mum in 2001. 2008, I buried my dad. You open up the grave, you can't see anything. It's all covered, you know. So it's a process. It's just like having a new grave. It's just surroundings are slightly different when you're in new areas. More pleasant, I would say.
Maxine, just a question. If you can't agree on the main person that liaises with yourself, who, you know, like there's families in conflict. If you can't agree on a main person, what would you do?
Well, in my situation, this is the thing. As a funeral director, I can only advise. You've heard me talk about this so many times. It's exhausting. I can only advise. The main person really should be, not necessarily, and then again, Juliet, it's a lot of it is to do with culture, traditions. We know that in the Ghanaian and the Nigerian traditions, the elder son will take charge of funeral arrangements. And the younger or even the older sisters will accept it and work with them. It's not necessarily ideal, but that is a tradition. And then they will talk to elders at home. So that, you know, I'll talk to them, they'll advise, they'll say, oh yeah, we just have to speak to the elders in Nigeria. And I've got to wait until they've done that, and then they come back and tell me what they're going to do. But they're organised. Over here, if the people can't agree, I will say to them, right, come in and see me. Sit down here. And some will sit on one side, some will sit on the other side. And I'll say, listen, we have to choose one person of this group. And I'm going to choose the person, all right? And what I want you to do is all speak together, because I'll only take my instructions from that one person. Yeah? All of you speak together, decide on what you're going to do, one choice of coffin, whatever. It might even have to be a vote. All right, but my instructions is going to come from just that one person, and normally that person should be the individual who spent the most time with the person who has died and knows them, and also someone who can properly communicate.
Yeah.
You know, quite times, you know, people want to take charge and their communication skills are very poor. You know, sometimes people phone me. You just get into bed and it's like 11:30. Oh, can you join us for a WhatsApp call or for a Zoom 11 o'clock at night? You know, you have to be organised in this thing, and you have to respect people's time and also people's patience.
Yeah.
So there's always one. And I take my lead from that one person. And what I don't like is when I've got 3-4 people on the same funeral phoning me up with different points of view or different questions. Go to that central point, create a group, create a WhatsApp group amongst you. You may not all want to talk to each other, you know, on the telephone or sit in the same room as one another. But you can talk on the WhatsApp. Who wants to talk, who don't want to talk, don't talk in the group. And then do another group separate that I'm in. Because quite often they're having their arguments in a group and my phone's buzzing. It's nothing to do with me. I'm not interested. Yeah, I'm interested in the deceased and the day. I don't want to know about you this and you that. I mean, even now, Juliet, I've got people phoning me up. Funeral's gone 6, 7, 8 months ago. There's still conflict in the family and they want me to mediate. Do you think you can phone up my whatever and ask them to do? They haven't returned this, they haven't returned that. And I'm thinking, I thought my job was finished. Well, it's never finished.
Oh,
yeah.
My goodness.
Yeah.
Now, Maxine, a question that's come through. Is there anywhere you wouldn't go in the UK to officiate a funeral?
Well, no, it really, really depends. And we have to be practical. For me, number one, when you're asking me to go somewhere like this week, I was in Bristol. I was in Bristol earlier this week. I got a phone call from Coventry. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I say to people, look, we can work with other services. You've got to. What is your objective? Is it the representation that you desire? If you're in a place where there are no other black people and you feel strongly about black funeral directors, yeah, then we'll go. Yeah. But obviously, I'm not going to travel over land and sea. All right. Like, leave 5 o'clock in the morning, not returning 24 hours. And, it is a business. But I will represent where representation's needed. So we have to be practical. We have to be sensible. I mean, I've flown on a plane to do a funeral.
Maxine,
Yeah.
guess what? Welcome back to the last segment of the show, Spilling That Tea to Juliet G on supremefmlive.ning.com. I'm in conversation with Maxine Edgar, Funeral Director of Bronze Ash Funerals, and we're talking about, guess what? Funerals. Now, Maxine, you know the drill. This is the last part of the show and we don't have long left, right? So I've got a couple of, three questions that kind of came through. Different boroughs operate differently. Can you give us some examples?
Okay. All right. I'll give you a prime example. And I just want to give you, whilst the break was on, Julia, I just looked at some figures. We were talking about leases. With the City of London, a prime example, a 30-year lease at Conservation Lawn in Newgrave is 5585, right? If you were to go a lease, you'd be paying £8,100. That's the difference, £125.76 per year. To lengthen the lease. All right, so I just thought I'd advise anyone who was thinking of buying a grave. All right, different boroughs do operate differently. The grave owner, I'll give you an example. You can be cremated anywhere.
Yeah.
You can be cremated anywhere. There are no rules on being cremated. However, if there is a cemetery in your borough, you are expected to be buried in your borough.
Buried or cremated?
Cremated, you can go anywhere.
Oh, so you can go anywhere for cremation, but burial, you've got to be buried in your borough.
Don't have to be, but it is expected, because if you choose to go out of borough, you can pay double.
Okay.
City of London Cemetery, Manor Park Cemetery, I think there might be another one. Anybody can be buried in those two cemeteries. All right. However, say for argument's sake you lived in Wandsworth and you wanted to be buried in Newham. No, not say Newham, because we've got City of London. Wandsworth, and you wanted to go to Lewisham. You can find yourself paying double because you are a non-resident.
Okay.
You are taking up space for a resident. And sometimes some cemeteries will say, unless you're a resident, you can't be buried here.
Oh,
that's
really?
number one. Number two, the grave owner. Rules differ according to the borough, all right? Forget City of London, forget Manor Park for now, because they take anyone. If you want to bury, we had a lady that lived in, I think she lived in Barking and Dagenham. The lady lived in Barking and Dagenham, and her sister was buying a grave for her in Barking and Dagenham. Yeah, but the sister lived in Havering. Yeah, they would not accept. They would not. The grave would have to have been in Havering. Do you understand? Or you pay the double.
So hold on a sec, Maxine. Just a quick question. So you've bought a funeral plan, right? Say for example, you bought that funeral plan, East London. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And now you've moved out of Newham.
Yeah, that's what happened.
Yeah, you've moved out of Newham. You've already paid for your grave.
Yeah.
And now you moved out, say towards Essex way. What happens there? Are they saying that you can't get buried now in?
Yeah, you can. But you pay more. So that's just a prime example. We did a funeral 6 weeks ago for a gentleman. He died living in Streatham, which I think was, I can't remember what Streatham comes under, but the grave that he owned, because his son was already in it, was in Wandsworth. Yeah. So when he bought the grave 20 years ago, when the son died, he lived in Wandsworth.
Yeah.
He now lives in Streatham. He died in Streatham. He had to pay a non-residence fee for reopening the grave.
Wow.
Yeah. And it worked out, I can tell you, it worked out at £4,500 to reopen the grave that he'd already owned. All right. So those are the rules. Some boroughs, it's on the person who died. Some boroughs, it's on the person who is owning the grave, if it's a new grave. So if you're buying the grave for someone, it might be a husband, it might be a wife, it's where they live. On other boroughs, it's where the person who died lives. So you've got to look at the small print, and your funeral director should tell you that. The ideal is that you're buried in the borough that you live in. However, you may move out of borough. And remember, when you buy the grave, before the person dies, you're paying for the land, for the plot. When the person dies and you open the grave, you're paying for an opening fee. People call it the digging fee, the interment fee. So that's another fee within itself. Is in the region of like £1,000, £1,600 that can be over City of London to open the grave. So it can be expensive.
Tell me about it. Might as well just go and have a cremation and done.
Yeah. And I'm not advising anyone to go and have a cremation, but I do kind of push for it. And I find that our community are more so embracing
cremations.
Yes, they are. They are. Unlike 4 or 5 years ago, but more and more of us are saying, you know what? I think I can
Deal with
go
it.
with that.
Do you know what it is? I think it's that, it's so final, isn't it?
It's not only that. There are, if I can use the term, religious connotations. In that being raised from the dead and that kind of thing, and the fear and fire, and the reality is we are quite fearful of some. Death in itself is a joke, but the idea is you want some place to go to. You want to stand around somewhere and talk to the deceased. You want to sit on a bench. Whereas when, as you say, the finality of it, when you are cremated, quite heavy going, but then you have the spiritual aspect as well. So it's a personal thing, and it's also an understanding that we have to have.
Repatriation. Can you talk us through the process? What should people do if they find themselves in this situation?
Okay, so I've done quite a few repatriations this year. I give thanks for them.
Amen.
So in a situation where somebody dies and they decide, right, we want to take the deceased back to the Caribbean, to Africa, or America even, the process will be the same in that we would collect the deceased. They would need to be embalmed. That's the number one thing. The deceased must be embalmed. The deceased must be in a metal coffin. This stems any infections. Paperwork must be obtained. We will need passport. We will need a death certificate. We would need certificate of embalming.
Hold on a sec. You need passport. Passport for who? The dead person?
Yeah, even if the passport's out of date, we need the original passport that we travel with. We need to obtain a free from infection certificate from the mortuary to ensure that that person hasn't any infectious diseases. You understand? We have to give an undertaking as funeral directors that is not only the person in the coffin and that's their clothes that they've got on, but nothing else. Nothing else is in that coffin. Sometimes we put flowers in, silk flowers. So it's quite a process. And what we say to people, we'll embalm them, we'll dress them. We've done it where we've had church services here. We've opened up the coffin. We've had a viewing yeah, or they've viewed them here in the back. Then they come back, we take them to the airport with all the paperwork, the coffins boxed up, put them on the plane. My job ends, in theory, well, in practice, when we put that coffin, when we take it to the airport and we send that box. And we just liaise with the funeral director at the other end and say, have you received them? And they'll say, yes, everything's all right. And we've got specific funeral directors that we deal with in the Caribbean and Africa. And I have one in America. The problem with repatriation is you've got to understand, many a time when you send the body home, everyone's looking a little something, a little change. And, they'll say, oh, the body wasn't embalmed, we have to embalm again, or we have to dress them again, or we have to do this, we have to do that. There's always a problem. Because, they're looking a little change. So I say to my families, listen, I'm sending this body Monday morning. Come here Friday night or Saturday and come and check this body out before it goes, so that you see the condition of it. Because sometimes you send them, they're at the port 2-3 days in the heat. By the time the funeral director, especially if you're in an island like Dominica, where it goes to one place and then it has to wait on a boat to take it to the other place. I mean, it might go Guadeloupe or St. Lucia or Barbados, because there's no airport, and then it has to go by boat. It can be quite a lot of time in between the connections, and who gets the blame? The UK funeral director. You understand? So you've got to think logistically. We had a lady here the other day, and she wasn't that old, she was in her 70s. And the family insisted on her being dressed in her clothes and that. And I said, really, we don't really like to dress them this end, We'll make them look nice and presentable for viewing, but pack up the clothes, put it in the coffin and send it, just in case there's any little spillage. Because a body can change overnight, even though it's embalmed. Even though it's embalmed, but they insisted. And, I had to, I dressed her up so they could view her. And the morning of the funeral, the morning before she was to be boxed up, I had to literally redress her again, wash her dress, iron it, put her and redress her and fix her up again. Because the body was changing, And what they did was they came and they put makeup on her, and she sweated. And even though you're dead, you can sweat.
Oh, really?
Came out on the pillow and everything. So you have to be mindful, and you have to use wisdom in these things, because you will get the blame. And you have to be transparent.
Maxine,
sorry to cut you, and let me just tell you, at this juncture, a repatriation, Caribbean, Africa, you're looking at 5,500, and that's with a lovely casket, all in. You shouldn't be paying any more than that, and that's for final, not for a little box that they go in, and you go in and you got to buy another casket. I'm talking about proper casket, proper embalming, everything that will take them over to the other side. You're looking at £5,500.
Wow, that's big money, isn't it? And then on top of that, you've got
your funeral directors the other side.
Yeah. So Maxine, a quick question. Someone asked, do you train people to do what you do? And what qualities or qualifications does one need to become a funeral director?
Okay, anyone can become a funeral director. Anyone can become a funeral director. Training is paramount for nuggets of information, yeah? The foundations of training are paramount. It's important that people are trained. I can't train people. I'm thinking of I can train people, but not up to a level of qualifications. And one of the problems with funeral directing is that you have to be in it to win it.
Yeah.
So they want you to already be in the work of a funeral director in order to train, and that is really, really difficult. Really, really difficult, because now they're only employing us as tokens. And that is to do funeral arranging and to be the face so that we can get people that look like us in. Yeah. And they'll keep you at that level and keep you at that level. All right. And you've got to do that for 2 or 3 years before they say, right, we're going to train you up. Yeah, so that's a difficulty. That's why it's important that we achieve and develop our own, because we do things differently. Yeah. But the reality is, what I'm thinking of doing, and I've said to people, there are so many aspects and so many facets of the funeral work, of doing an open day. We're getting this little place in Croydon, and it's big enough, and I want to do an open day where I can introduce people to every aspect of the work, from funeral celebrancy to funeral arranging and the forms, you know, to working with the families, to the mortuary, you understand, to the dressing of the body, all of that. And I'd like to be able to achieve that at some juncture in the new year, because people are really, really interested. But let me reiterate, and I really, really have to say, it's interesting. A lot of people say, oh, you must be loaded, you must be making loads of money, you must be really, really busy. No, it is not like that. Yes, there is money to be made, but we are not at that place where we are actively using our own enough to be making money, like we're paying some of them other people that don't look like us, who are really making money off of us. It is a calling. I'll come onto your radio station every Saturday morning at 7 o'clock, and I will repeat, and I will talk, and I will share. I'm on again tomorrow with Dennis Brown on his gospel show in the morning, and I may be repeating the same old thing. It is a passion. Yeah, and I will say it again and again and again. It is a calling. It takes a certain time, especially in our community.
Yeah.
You know, I have heard funeral directors who don't necessarily look like us, but who, you know, mixed race guy, oh, I don't want to do these black funerals. Oh, they take too long. Oh, they're all day. Oh, waste of time. This is a mixed race funeral director. And the reality is, you know, I have a passion. I go out on all my funerals. Yesterday we did triplets. Yeah. Triplet babies, as I told you, neonatal. Heartbreaking. But my passion, because it's not just about, and that's free. We do babies for free. We went to the, you know, over to Chadwell St Mary in Grays yesterday. It's a day's work. Yeah. But my passion is getting the job done, looking after those babies, ensuring that that funeral's executed, and that the mum and dad and those that were around were well looked after, their needs were met, and that they've gone away with peace. Because it was a messy case, you know. So there has to be a passion. And I tell you every day, my clothes smell, my shoulder hurts, you know. I have headaches from the families. The phone doesn't stop ringing. So, you know, you have to be able to stand, because our community have gone through trauma. I keep saying all black people need to have some kind of therapy. You know, we need therapy. Trauma. It is apparent, which I didn't think about until I came into this work, that we have some issues, we have some feelings buried alive, and you need to be able to stand in the face of adversity. But it is a wonderful, wonderful work, and I would encourage anyone who wants to, you know, persist or look into it further, you know, just to keep in contact with you, Juliet, or DM me or whatever, because I'm going to do that open day. I want more of us to be involved in this work, because it really is wonderful.
Now, Maxine, I've got feedback for you. I just want to give you the feedback I have been told about you publicly, and that is you are really good at your job. A number of listeners have messaged me personally or told me directly that you have either organised or officiated their loved one's funeral, and the service was excellent. It was so nice. It was a really good send-off, and it was absolutely amazing. It was so professionally handled, and they have never been to a send-off like it. It's nice to hear what people are saying about you and your business. How does that make you feel?
Well, I went up because I'm just rubbish when it comes to that kind of thing.
What did you say?
Know, I'm vocal, Juliet, and people think Maxine this, but when I hear that, my heart moves. My heart moves.
But then it goes to show that you are doing such an excellent job, and that's what makes it so worthwhile. And you know, when you're feeling so low, you just hold on to that.
Trust me.
That's what
Trust
you hold
me.
on
When
to.
the phone's not ringing, I read my reviews on my website, and I just say, God, thank you. Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for that. Those that have said that, I really, and I don't take it for granted. My sister tells me every time, you're only as good as your last funeral. You muck up, that's what they're going to remember.
That is true. That's true.
Yeah.
She's not wrong. Anyway, Maxine, can you tell the listeners your social media handles and how they can talk to you about anything that you've raised in the show?
Okay, so I'm actually on the Instagram. If you'll find me under Maxine Mitchell Edgar, because I had this thing about advertising and it's organic at funerals. But look, Maxine Mitchell Edgar, go onto Instagram. And as I say, you've got Bronze Ash Funerals. Everything's there. Bronze Ash Funerals, www.bronzeashfunerals.co.uk. Find me there. Just Google Bronze Ash Funerals. And send me inquiries, any questions. Keep the questions coming, even if you want to DM me. I'm on Facebook. I'm all over the place. I can't hide. Just put my name into Google and I'm there. All right?
Thank you.
I'm there to assist.
Thank you so much, Maxine.
No, thank you, Juliet. I appreciate
your input is absolutely invaluable. I'm sure the listeners will agree with me that this has been so very helpful. Yeah.
Thank you.
And guess what? Next week, Maxine is going to be on again, where we're going to be discussing funeral etiquette.
Oh, yes, the one that brilliant.
Yes. So we're going to be talking about funeral etiquette, and we're going there, aren't we, Maxine?
Yeah, we've gone there. Yeah. Oh, the funeral etiquette,
yes.
And the minutes and the drink and the
That's the one, Maxine. That's the one. Anyway, you take care, Maxine.
All right, my love.
And you look after yourself, yeah?
You as well. Thank
you.
Have a great day. Be blessed, everyone.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Like I say each and every week, you don't want to miss this. So set your alarm clocks from now. And coming up next, we have Martin J till 12 noon. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, thank you to each and every one of you, whether you be a first-time listener or a regular listener. Thank you for spending the last couple of hours with yours truly. If you're not already following me on the gram, it's Spilling the Tea to Juliet G, where you'll get your notifications, show updates, and also you can subscribe to my YouTube channel, Juliet G, where the shows are being uploaded. So don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Remember, tomorrow is not promised, so love and appreciate the people who are in your life, as you don't need to worry about those that aren't. First and foremost, look after yourself, and let's be kind to one another. Let's build our village. Let's grow our village. Life has no rewind button, so do the best with the tools you have and make it work for you. Remember, we have two gifts in life, the gift of choice and the gift of chance. We have the choice to make a good life and the chance to make the best of our lives. Have a blessed day, have a safe day, and have a splendid day. Take care.